Tired of managing endless migration files and losing track of your database changes? What if you could define your entire database structure in one place, a single schema file, and when you want to add a column, you can just simply add a line to that file. In this video, I'm going to explain how Supabase's declarative schema can simplify your database management, making your development process more efficient and error-free. So here's the problem that we're trying to tackle. Currently, if you use the Supabase CLI to manage your database migrations, your migrations directory would look something like this, where, for example, in the first file, we have the create table statements for a profiles table, having the ID and username column. And later on, let's say we said, okay, we want to add a isAdmin column. We generate another migration file and add a alter table statements to add this inAdmin column. And then sometime even later, when we say, okay, we probably should have created an updated column and add all the triggers and functions to properly update the updated add column. Now at this point, your schema for the profiles table is scattered across 3 different files. And 3 different files might not be that bad, but like in an actual production app, you would have even possibly have more files that defines how a certain table might look. And you may have certain files that's actually deleting columns. So you may have a file that looks like it's adding column, but if that particular column was later deleted, you have no idea what that table looks like. And that's where the declarative database schema comes in really handy. So instead of having these migrations directory, we will create a schemas directory. And inside the schemas directory, we can create a schema file. Now the schema file is going to contain what our database schema is going to look like. Like for example, we'll have a profiles table. And let me just delete this migrations directory for now. Now, once we have this schemas.sql file, we can run supabase db diff and give it the file flag and give it a migration name, something like profiles or creating profiles or something. So we define the schema inside the schema.sql file, and then we run this command which generates the migration automatically for us. So we don't really have to think about running migration. We don't really have to think about creating proper migration files. It just is being taken care of automatically by Supabase. Okay, so the migration has completed, and we can open up our migration files and confirm that our table profiles is being created with additional stuff that automatically comes with Supabase, but we can kind of ignore that. We can actually kind of ignore the entire migration file because everything will be generated automatically using the schema file. So when we want to add a column to the schema, we just simply literally add it. So if we want to add isAdmin boolean and default false, we literally add it in, and we can run the Supabase db diff command again, and we can just name the migration something like admin or isAdmin or adding isAdmin if you want to be more precise, but you get the point. We run the db diff command, which will generate the migration file again, and there you go. We have a new migration file generated, and it's adding the isAdmin column to the profiles table. So just like that, we can kind of build on top of this file to basically grow our database. Whenever we want to add something, we can just add it to this file. Let's also double check in the Supabase dashboard. We can start a local Supabase instance by running Supabase start and head to the dashboard. Table editor, and there is a profiles table, and we can confirm that there's a ID, username, and isAdmin column right there. Great. The best thing about SQL-based migration is that since it's just SQL, a lot of the Postgres features like views, functions, or row-level security policies are already supported. We can add views the same way we manage tables. So we can just literally add them in the schema file. And that's really it. We can now run the Supabase db diff command to generate the migrations. And just like that, our migration is generated to create a new view called admins that selects all the profiles where isAdmin is true. Now, if we wanted to edit this view, for example, let's say we also wanted to get the username, then we can just add it like so and generate a new diff, view username. There's a new migration file, and this replaces the old view that existed. So this migration is no longer taking effect, but instead we have this new view with selecting ID and username as this admin view. The same goes for functions. Let's say we had this get username function. All we have to do is, again, run the Supabase db diff command with a name of the migration that you want to set it to. And just like that, a new migration has been generated, which sets the definition of that function. And let's say if you wanted to change the definition of this function, really we can just change anything and it'll detect it. But for example, for some, wild case, we said we're just going to ignore the profile ID and we're always going to return the username of whoever is user ID number 1. Just for a simple example. I couldn't really come up with a nice example, but yeah, let's say that was the case. Then we can just say function v2 and generate a new diff. And Supabase CLI is able to detect that there was a change here, and it'll generate a new migration for this to update the definition of the get username function, which is really neat because managing functions can be a bit messy. You always have to make sure that you override the definition. And this is one of the places that really the declarative database schema shines, that managing function definition is no longer chaos. So as you can see, we have the updated definition of the get username function, and we are always returning whoever user ID number 1 is, which is, I don't know what the use case is, but it's just an example. You get the point, hopefully. Now, if you use Supabase, you're probably wondering if this works with rollable security policies, and yes, it does. So let's create a simple policy where we are just going to expose the profiles table to the world, basically. Let's generate a new migration file. So Supabase db diff rollable security. And just like that, we have a migration file that has been generated that applies the rollable security policy. If we wanted to edit the definition of this, for example, let's say we're just going to expose user ID number 1 to the world. So something like this, and everybody else is going to be hidden. Then we can do that, and we can generate the migration file again. And Supabase CLI is able to detect that there has been an update to this rollable security policy, and it'll generate the correct migration file to override the definition. And the migration file has been generated. I want to point out that we have this warning here. It says the diff tool is not foolproof. You may need to manually rearrange the or modify the generated migration. It's always important to verify that the migration file that are generated properly works. So you want to test it locally using the Supabase db reset command to verify that the migration works. And there are some known caveats here and there that the database schema is not able to automatically pick up the differences. And you can read the documentation for all the edge cases where the declarative database schema fails. But for these use cases, it should be fine. It's things like detailed permission changes or alter statements or statements that modify the data itself, like insert, update, or delete commands. These are not picked up by the declarative database schema. So once in a while, you might see a warning like this, and you might want to just verify that it actually works, which we probably should do right now. So why don't we do that? So I've stopped the Supabase running locally. So let's run Supabase start again. and run Supabase db reset, just in case. And it resetted the database without any errors. Let's refresh the page just in case, and we have the admin view in the profiles table. And if we head over to authentications policy, we have this row-level security policy that exposes user ID number 1 to the world and nobody else. All right, that's great. Now, as your code base grows, your schema probably grows as well. And once your schema gets too large for a single file, you can actually divide them into multiple smaller files inside the schemas directory. So right now in the schema file, we have the definition for the profiles table and a bunch of views and functions that are related to the profiles table. Now let's say I want to introduce something like a post table, which holds some kind of content. And we can just paste this table definition right here without any problem. And we can just generate the dbdiff and it all works just fine. But as we add more and more tables to it, this file is going to get larger and larger. And I've omitted the row-level security policies and possible functions that comes with this post table, but we probably need something like that, right? So that's going to add more stuff to it. So the common design pattern once your schema file grows bigger than a certain point is to divide it into multiple files. So we can have like posts.sql file to hold anything related to posts. And we can rename this schema.sql file to profiles.sql file because it's all the things that are related to profiles. So great, right? We have multiple files. Let's run the Supabase db diff command to generate the posts content. And you can see that it's able to detect that there are two files, the post.sql file and profiles.sql file inside the schemas directory. All right, great. It ran the migration and we have a new migration file for generating this post table. That is awesome. Now, let's say we want to expand this post table and have a user ID column or profile ID column that references the ID column of the profiles table. So at this point, this post table becomes a dependent of the profiles table. And if we run this dbdiff command again, it might succeed or it might not succeed depending on how Supabase interprets, which schema file gets applied first. And if we look at the terminal here, it looks like it's trying to parse the post table, a post.sql file first, so it's probably going to fail. But we don't really need to take chances. There is a way to specify what file comes first. And we can actually do that in the config.toml file. So within config.toml file, we can find the db.migrations section. And in here, we can define in what order we want the migration to be applied. So we want to have the schemas /profiles.sql file to be applied first, and then we want the rest of the files to be applied, so we can just use a glob pattern to say schemas and star.sql file. So basically we want to apply the profiles.sql schema first, and then once we're done with that, we can just proceed to the rest of the schemas. So let's generate another migration file. So profile ID. We can probably come up with a better name for that, but let's see. Null file match Supabase schemas. What did I miss? Yes. Properly spell it out, and it should work just fine. And as you can see, it's looking at the profiles.sql file first, and then it's looking at everything else after that. And just like that, the dbdiff command ran without an issue, and we can confirm that there is a new profile ID column with a foreign key pointing to the profiles table's ID column. Now, if you want to get started using this declarative database schema with your existing Supabase project, you can simply run this command right here, and it'll pull down the schema information of your database into a single file. And from there, you can organize the code a bit as you like, and you're good to go.